All right, sir. Now we're live. Let's
Ah,
start
very
talking to
good.
you off camera. That's. Hope everything's doing well. I'm looking forward to our chat today, and so those that are coming on, we'll be having an audience as we continue going on, as to continue to build. But today, for replay purposes, I'm going to introduce Michael Matsuda, and that is your last name, correct? Right?
Right, you got it right.
Matsuda. Good. Yeah. And so, Michael, I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself just a little bit more about where you're at exactly, where you're broadcasting from today, and a little bit about yourself, your family, and I'll let you go ahead and take the next few minutes and introduce yourself.
No problem. Thank you, Mark, for allowing me to be on here. It's quite an honor. We appreciate that very much. Thank you for doing this. My name again is Michael Matsuda. I'm president and founder of the Martial Arts History Museum, the first, the one, the only museum of its kind in America, in the world, matter of fact. We are here in the city of Burbank. We are celebrating our 23rd year. Yes, we are an actual museum. We are a brick and mortar place. We started off in 1999 as a traveling exhibit. We traveled across the country. And then around 2006, we opened up a location in the city of Santa Clarita. And then we moved over later on to the city of Burbank. So we've been in this location about 12 years. So we are actual brick and mortar place, a place where people can come and visit and learn about the history of the martial arts. The museum isn't just about martial arts. It's about Asian art, Asian culture, Asian tradition, and how the positive influence of the Asian community have had on America, the influence and impact it's had on America through film, through TV, and more. So it's a nice look at each country, where it came from. If you're studying a Korean art, it's good to know a little bit about Korea, the style, the art, the tradition, and how it influenced Korea, the martial arts, and how it came into America. So that's kind of what the museum is about in a quick nutshell. We do a lot of events here at the museum, about 2 to 3 times a month, honoring people, seminars, workshops, and stuff like that. But we also do a lot of outreach to the community. We do a lot of blood drives. We have a big seminar coming up. We're going to be handing out stun guns to the Asian community coming up in about a week, and 1,000 stun guns. We do a lot of things to have clothing, gis provided for the youth that can't afford it. And so we do a lot of community outreach with the museum as well, because we don't feel we should just be a place to come and look. We should be involved with the community. So we do that as well. So we do a lot of outreach, humanitarian outreach. As for myself, I've been studying the martial arts since 1967, which makes me a very old fart. I started Kung Fu, then later in 1967, and then Judo in 68. Very traditional. And then I saw this guy named Al Dacascos was doing these great moves. And I said, that's it. That's the style I got to learn, Kung Fu. And that was it. I got hooked on Kung Fu. I've been doing Kung Fu ever since. So this is my 55 years in martial arts, I think. Something like that. And I mostly do Kung Fu. That's my mostly. I teach Shaolin, but mostly Monkey Kung Fu. I've been doing Monkey Kung Fu for 45 years. And that one I specialize in. And I'm the last teacher of that art left in America. Sad to say, but hopefully people
really?
will learn from it. Yeah. I'm the last one, the last grandmaster of the system. But my students will learn, and hopefully they'll pass it on to somebody else. But it's a very hard art to learn, and most people don't like to learn it, So that's just how it is.
Did you when you say that you teach now, do you have a school somewhere of yourselves?
I just teach privately. Yeah, I just teach privately,
Oh,
a
you're a
small little
private teacher.
class.
Got it.
Yeah, a small class of about 5 people. That's it.
Mhm.
That's it. No more. I'm teaching my people to grooming my people to carry on the art. They know now everything I know, and so they're going to carry on the art.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, that's what we all hope for, right? As things continue on,
Right.
somebody will carry it on for sure.
Right.
So I remember, I remember when you were first building this museum. Okay, so let's talk about. Well, first of all, what made you decide to have a martial arts museum? Why did you decide to do that?
That's a question I ask myself all the time. No, when I started the martial arts, it, when back in the '60s, I was a little kid, and I got to grow up with all these guys. Benny Urquidez's family lived 2 doors from me, so I knew their family. I knew Lily Urquidez since I was 13. I've known the whole Urquidez family. I knew Gene LaBelle when he was wrestling. I was a little kid. We used to go watch him at the Forum at the Garden Valley Garden here in Sun Valley. And I used to watch Gene, and I remember Fumio coming over, and I used to go to the Japanese deer park and watch him and meet him there. And then the Tracys, and I got to know everybody. Even though I was still a young person in the martial arts, I got to know them. I got to meet some of them, which was great. I remember meeting Rocky Johnson's father, Rocky Johnson, The Rock's father. Very kind to me, real cool dude.
Uh-huh.
And meeting everybody, Bang Soo-han, all these guys when they were coming here, when they first came here, Ark Wai Wong and all that. And to me, it was part of my childhood, part of growing up. I got to know all these people, which was really cool. So when the martial arts magazine started coming out in '73, really before that, Black Belt, but Inside Kung Fu mainly in around '73, I said, that's it. I'm going to start writing for the magazines because I love martial arts so much. So I did. I went back to school, got my journalism degree. Once I got my degree, boom, I started writing for the magazines, started writing for Inside Kung Fu, then later Black Belt, and wrote for them for about 20 years total of articles and all that. And that was a lot of fun to do. And then at the same time I was doing that, I had still gone to college and learned how to design a magazine, do the whole process. And so I started my own little magazine called Martial Art Magazine. And it was covering tournaments and all that stuff. And I had that for about 4 or 5 years. And someone made me an offer and I sold it. And then I said, I need to do something that will keep our history alive, something that will keep martial arts better than a book, better than a magazine. And I said, a museum would be perfect. So I said, okay, let me see if everybody's going to support this, be behind this, and will help me out. So I did. I talked to all my friends and everything. I borrowed all their stuff, and we talked about doing this. And I said, okay, before I even launch anything, before I take one step in calling the museum a name, I'm going to go back to school because I don't know anything about a museum, and I don't need it to fail. So I need to go back to school. I went back to school. I got a business degree. I went back and go into marketing for another 8 to 9 years. I went back to every
Mm.
university to learn everything about not only doing a museum, but doing a whole business, doing all the marketing, all the planning. I went to the American Film Institute and got learning how to do editing and producing because I knew I'd do videos. I went to every school you can think of, from programming to you name it. I had to do it to do a museum, not just a museum, but a whole business to make sure it succeed. Once I finished that, about 8 or 9 years, then I said, okay, we're going to call it Martial Arts History Museum. Fireboards Jacques helped me launch it on the internet, and that's when we started doing the museum on the road right after that. But
Right.
why I started it, yeah, I
Yeah, go ahead.
started it because of history. Nobody was doing it, and nobody's going to do it. And I can tell you, nobody's ever going to do it. People can say they're going to do it, and that's nice. That's good. I'm real glad for that. And but to actually have a place and to actually do it is a whole another thing. You can put it on the internet, whatever you want, but to actually do it is a whole another thing. And I thought it was important that we keep the martial arts history alive. And growing up with so many individuals and knowing them, like the other day we were at Benny and I were at a party with Sensei Cecil Peoples, and we were talking, and then they were talking about the fight, Benny's last fight he had at Las Vegas, and they were talking all about it, and they were talking to me like I didn't know, and I said, guys, I was there. I was there at the fight. Remember, I was covering it for the magazine. Oh yeah, and I said, because I experienced that. I was part of that. So
Yeah.
to me, it's personal as well. But I think it's important that we keep our history alive, and so many people gave up so much. And I remember these guys, Bang Soo-han was driving a cab to keep that place alive, for a while. But, to have that personal touch with it, as well as it's been part of me growing up since the '60s, I thought it's important that we have something here to give recognition to the martial arts, something to give back to the martial arts, and what better way to give back than to keep the history of the martial arts alive than a museum. Sorry, I talked too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time we saw it, we were at I think the Maya shows when the first time I saw it. And I remember you setting up kind of panels. And, that was it was like a traveling museum, like you said, right? And it
Right,
was,
right,
you get to kind of walk through and then you had this, this, this vision of having, as you start having, a museum that you can have a home for, right? I
right, right.
remember it. I remember it totally when it first came out, and I thought, wow, that is pretty. Um, that is pretty awesome because there is a lot of history that goes in, and there's a lot of history that about uh, the old from Bruce Lee. Now, you said something interesting. I didn't know that you wrote for the Kung Fu magazine. You said you did
Oh
that
yeah,
for a
yeah.
long time.
Yeah, Mark
So
Stewart was the editor of Black Inside Kung Fu, and he's my first article was in 1983, 10 years after Bruce Lee. And my first article was a cover story. I interviewed Danny DeSanto for that. But yeah, I wrote for both of them: Black Belt, Inside Kung Fu, Karate Illustrated, and Kick
yeah,
Illustrated.
so it's interesting. I probably should make my ways in case everybody doesn't know. This is in Burbank, California, is where the museum is, and we had a friend of mine had a friend who was very much into kung fu. As a matter of fact, made his own dit to jiao and all this kind of stuff,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and he has got boxes full of Inside Kung Fu. I mean, probably every single magazine from the time. I don't know, and I got them in boxes, and it's like I don't know. I guess the museum. I guess there's certain. I bet you there's certain some of those magazines that probably have some stuff in it that's pretty vintage, and you'd probably know that. I should probably just bring that stuff to you over there because it's just sitting here in boxes. I bought it from them because the family needed some money, and
Uh-huh.
maybe I should just bring them over to you. Maybe there's something in there that's of some kind of value. I don't know if you. I mean, I got and it's all kung fu. It's all your
Uh-huh.
stuff. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah,
You
I
know,
just got that probably a few months ago.
oh, that's so funny. Mark, we get about a box of magazines every 3 or 4 months. People call us all the time and they say, we've got boxes of magazines, Inside Kung Fu, Black Belt, and all that. And we don't want to throw it away, but it's been sitting in our garage for 20 years and we
Mhm.
don't know what to do with it. And I said, well, bring it here. Bring it here. We can't give you money, but we'll give you a tax deduction. That way you can take it
Right.
out on your taxes. And they bring it here, and we got a whole bunch of them here, and we do several things with it. We get if we can, they're still alive. We get the people on the covers to sign it, and we auction it off to raise money for the museum. So sometimes we do that. Sometimes we sell it here, literally right at the museum. So we have and we use a lot for archives. Believe me, we have every issue times four of
Uh-huh.
magazines. But it's just we are very happy to welcome the magazines here. And again, we'll give you a tax deduction and all that. And at least you'll have a good place. We scan. We try to scan them all. We're really trying to do, and that's our big project that we want to do is scan every issue, and that way make it available online for everybody. That's another project. That'll take a
Yeah,
while,
yeah,
but that's our goal.
that sounds like quite a project for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
in
bring
case
them
people
here.
right, so in case people don't know too, you're actually broadcasting from the museum, so you can see some of the weaponry in the back of, right behind you here, and,
I'll
so
turn
let's
over.
talk about
There
some of
you
your
go.
most yes, we'll talk about yeah, see that? Look
There's
at
a
that.
little view of it. There's a
Yeah,
little view of it.
yeah. So let's talk about hours of it. So when are people allowed to come by? When do you actually have the doors are open for the museum and stuff like that?
The museum is open Thursday through Sunday, 4 days, 11 to 6, Thursday through Sunday. Mhm.
And then there's times then I guess if you have like a field trip of sorts, let's say that you can make that available for schools. Is that correct?
Right, right. we do have a lot of schools come to the museum, mostly home schools and karate schools, martial arts schools.
Hmm.
And we try to set them up on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or on the weekends early before the museum opens. So that way it'll be just for them. The tour takes about an hour, and we go through the tour and we do a scavenger hunt. The kids have a lot of fun. It's a great museum. The kids really enjoy it. We have a few animatronics in here, because we have my friends, myself from former Disney artists, and my other friends are animatronic people, and we have a few animatronics in here, which kids enjoy. But it's a fun place for kids to enjoy. Everything is designed for both kids and adults to enjoy. The colors, the design, the typefaces, everything. It took a while to measure out people's time span that they'll read something or look at something or watch something. So we did that very carefully. Believe me, we tested this out galore when we took it on the road. So when we finally got the formula for it, then we used it in the museum, and it's worked out really good. But yeah, we do the tours all the time. We give special discount to every school that does a tour. It's only, if they bring a tour of a lot of kids, it's only $3 a piece. It's usually
Right.
$5 a piece for kids and $10 for adults, but we give it $3 a piece for everybody, make it fun, enjoyable.
So, I did that once before, and,
Mhm.
I brought my students there. I think we've done it twice, and you know what? It's
Mm.
something I should be doing on a yearly basis now that I sit and remember it, because I think one thing I remember about the museum is, you have different, somebody my age, right? So I'm 61. So, I'm going to see that stuff from Billy Jack and, the Green Hornet and that kind of thing. And that's going to kind of spark memories. But I think you have generations, right? So you'll have the 90s babies with, the Ninja Turtles and all that kind of stuff, and so there's something new as you continue to go on. I think for every generation is going to spark something.
Right,
If I
right.
remember right, correct?
Yeah, you are correct. We try to hit every generation to the current generation as well. And everybody kind of connects in certain areas. Some of the kids love the anime, other, depending on the age, love the Karate Kid. There's something for everybody, and there's something different to learn because we add, we have videos in each section. And in the videos, we put a lot of different stuff, history of Japan, history of China. We put in the cartoons and the animation, and we add all that. And a lot of the studios send us stuff as well, which is pretty cool that we put on there for everybody to enjoy. So there's something for everybody to enjoy here at the museum.
So let's tell everybody what your most famous, what would be considered the most valuable, maybe not even in money sense, but the most valuable thing that you have, that you feel that you have in the museum.
Oh, that's a good question. It's a question I get asked a lot. And every piece of the museum to me is very special. Everything in there. So I have to say, of all the items we have to say, and people will go, no, but to me, it's the journey has been the most precious thing of the whole museum. To us, everything here in martial arts world is precious. From Billy Jack's hat to Karate Kid stuff. I even have 100-year-old kendo gi in here, and we have a lot of different stuff, and people enjoy, and it's precious to us. If you're going to sell it out in the street, you probably won't get much for it. But for us, it's like gold. And these items,
Hmm.
oh, I grew up with that item, the flying guillotine. Oh, there it is. It's all very cool items. But for me, everything here is wonderful and precious. But to me, the journey has been the most precious item of the whole museum, of what it took, the friendships we made along the way to get here. To me, that's the most precious thing of the whole museum.
And so you've got to see, uh your so you fortunately we had some living legends that's still here. So what one thing you're right, you mentioned the Billy Jack hat. I think that's what sticks in my head the most is that Billy Jack hat to and I'm not sure people when I mention Billy Jack, I'm almost to the point where some of the parents nowadays don't know who Billy Jack was, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Hmm.
that really is starting to date you, and I tell them all the time. I said, that movie I said you can watch the whole movie on YouTube and just the fight scenes because that's really what the movie's about is those fight scenes, and the rest is kind of a commune, you know. And to know that he wasn't even the one doing that, that Bonsu Han is the one that did all the martial arts moves in it.
Right.
I'm not sure people even know that,
No,
but
they don't.
you know,
Uh,
and when the one that played Billy Jack did you have any of these guys ever get to come? Do you have any memories of these guys being able to be at the museum before they passed? Has that happened on any of your more known stuff that you have there?
Well, martial arts movie stars usually don't come. The ones we get and martial arts movie stars like Don Wilson and Cynthia Rothrock are here all the time, and Mark Dacascos and those guys are here all the time. And we have Cynthia's Rothrock's uniform on display, and we have a nice big picture of her, and same thing as Don Wilson and those legends, Benny Urquidez. But as far as the older legends, well, Leo Fong, who's been here before he passed, Richard Bustillo, and we have the one thing we have here at the museum that I really love is the days we honor people. They are not days of just saying, "Oh, how great you are," and how this and that. What is it? It's a day that we say it is your students and your friends and an opportunity to say thank you for teaching us. Thank you for being part of our lives, and that's what it's about. It is like a memorial before they passed away, while they're still here. That people can say thank you for teaching me, and thank you for touching my life. And that's what it's really about. And we've had many pioneers that we've honored: John Natividad, Leo Fong, Richard Bustillo, James Ebrow, many pioneers who have been here. We had the days for them, and then they've all passed away now. But at least we had the day for them, honoring them. So while they were here, people got to say great things about them and how much they meant to them, and it was very, very touching thing. I remember when Richard Bustillo died, the next morning the family called me and thanked me for having his day a few months back. So, that while he was still here, people can have that celebration for him. And so those pioneers, we try to honor them in some way. If we try to get the artifacts, that's another subject. We try to get everybody's uniform we can. We really do. It's a hard thing to do. We try, but at least a lot of them have been here. The pioneers have been here, and we're able to acknowledge them with a day for them. And at least they had that, and I think that's pretty cool to do.
They had we when I remember we did this for Mr. I too, Mr. Chakao, we did his
Mhm.
a day for him too. And
Right,
I always thought that that was something that it was great, right? It brought some revenue into the museum, and then it brought recognition to those days. And all his children and stuff were there, so we've always had that. I think Mr. Farbor's had an online magazine at the time too, and he would
right.
make a cover of that. I'm not sure if he's still doing that part of it or not, but
No, no,
um,
I did the magazine.
oh, you did the magazine. Is that
I
was
did
that
the
you?
magazine for Fireworks, and I owned the Martial Info together, and I did the
Uh,
magazine.
oh, you did the magazine. You guys still have that as part of it or no?
No, no, we don't even have it anymore. Yeah, we already closed up Martial Info. Uh, Too many out there, and it wasn't bringing in anything, so we just closed it down. That
Yeah,
was a
but
while back.
yeah, but you guys had a ton of people on that. But
Oh yeah,
uh I guess the I guess all good things come to an end. I remember when that started. That whole thing
yeah,
started,
yeah.
right?
Oh
Martial
yeah.
info, but it certainly had a lot of info at the time, and I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
that
We had
it's
so much.
probably probably helped at least launch a little bit of the museum. But I guess you're right. You can have something as big as that, but if it's not really bringing in revenue and it's costing you money to keep it going, what's the use of it at that point, right? It's not
Right,
a good.
right.
You already have a labor of love, I think, in the museum. It's not bringing in Bentleys and Lamborghinis by any means. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, I know it's a labor of love when you guys are doing that. And so I thought that when you well, what's the most I don't know, it's hard to say who's the most famous, right? That's not the right word I'm trying to look for, but the most recognizable that you've had their day that they've been able to come down here. Either you've had Benny, correct? Benny
Uh-huh.
Yakitas.
Right. Uh-huh.
Um, you know, you've had uh and who's your other most recognizable that you've had that's been able to come down there and recognize that? Did Don Wilson have a day?
Yeah, Don Wilson had his day about a month ago. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
Don Wilson had his day. Cynthia Rothrock had her day. Our biggest day has been Cecil Peoples' Day. Cecil Peoples, a great pioneer, and we had double the amount of people than any other time was his day. Yeah,
Yeah, well, he's a cool cat, man. I mean, I've known
yeah,
Cecil for such a long time. I mean, I was doing all his tournaments back in the day when he was doing his tournaments on a yearly basis too. And yeah,
right.
I don't know anybody that doesn't know him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, and he's been quite a beast himself, suffering some health issues that he fights his way right through. And so, it doesn't surprise me that he had the biggest day by any means. And I know that Mr. Ichikawa, when we had him there, I mean, he had a lot of people there that day too. And I told you before, I said, yeah, I thought I got an email from you guys too, right, to do this, and I tried to talk to you about this. So, other martial artists that are going to listen to this, so you sent me this invite, right, to have a day for myself, right? And I was telling my students about it, and I'm like, wouldn't you guys call Mike and set this up? Because I thought one of them did that. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And then I think it's just what happened is you're the one that reached out to me,
Right.
and and I think I told you I had a private conversation with you. I says, man, that's hard to promote yourself and to do something for a day. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
Yeah.
That's a hard thing. I cannot possibly be the only one that has had that conversation with you. Mm. Right.
Yeah, again, the days to me are the most special thing of the whole museum. It's our chance to say thank you, the museum's chance to say thank you and give recognition. So many people that are great martial artists out there, and people have students that they have changed their lives. Brought them confidence, helped them, become business people, help them grow up, or help them against bullying, as well. And it is our chance to say thank you to that individual. You can, it's like when you're a teacher and then years later your student comes back, years later to thank you, and that feels real special because thank you for changing my life. Well, this is that
Right.
opportunity, because like when we have Buxom Kong Day, people flew in from all over the place to give their, it might be the last time they'll ever see him again, but time to say thank you for being in my life. And that's what it's about. And it's a very special time, very touching time. I think it's one of the most exciting times we have at the museum, and that's what it's about. People's opportunity to give their thanks. It really is about. It's not about promoting that person and lifting that person and bragging about that person. It's about giving thanks to that person, to how they change people's lives, and that's what it's about. And it gives people at the school and friends and everybody the opportunity to come back. You've trained years ago, come on back, and this is your one last time to say, give your thanks, to show your respect while they're still here, because when they pass away, nobody's gonna, you're gonna be gone, and you're not gonna
Yeah.
hear all the wonderful things that people have to say about you. and
Right.
and having the museum, there it is. I look back, and people are gonna think it's corny. One of the reasons I started this is it was a Little House of the Prairie. Okay, remember that show?
Totally
And
remember it.
there was one episode, and Helen Hayes was in it, and one episode that something, they thought she died, something that happened, and she didn't die, but they had the funeral for her, and she was alive, and she went to her funeral, and there was all the people, her relatives, the great grandsons, everybody that she had never seen or hadn't seen since they were little kids, were all gathered there. And there she was in the back crying. And Michael Landon was there and says, "Don't you want to tell them that you're alive?" And she goes, "No." And then finally she revealed that she was alive, and they were all upset. And she says, "Look, I'm still here. While I'm here, I got to see you and meet you. And when I'm gone, I'm not going to enjoy any of this, you guys coming here." And I thought that was, real touching to me. And I said, we have to do something like that when people are still here and they can say thank you that you haven't seen your students in 20, 30 years to come back and just be part of that person's life and what they did for them. So that's kind of the
Yeah,
one of
I
the many
remember that. You know
reasons.
what's funny is I
Remember that episode?
remember. I totally
Yeah.
remember because I think she was dying of cancer or something already,
Yeah, something
and
like
then
that.
she that way her kids and everything came about. I totally remember that. And so, yeah, and I see that. I speak about that often. I said, why do we waste time at a funeral telling everybody how great somebody is when they're not even there to enjoy it? You know what I mean?
Right, right,
That's why I think sometimes the funeral's more for those that are living than those that are dead. That's for sure. And
right, right.
so
Exactly.
I've always felt that that was just a good thing. I remember calling you about Mr. Ichikawa and us doing one for him, and and which was really cool because we still got that. We got that magazine cover still up and everything else, and we he get to his family get to watch. And sometimes you don't really know when you're in the midst of it on how much work a martial arts instructor really does. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you've been around for a while now, so you can see that. I'm kind of a history guy. I like people when they study under me that you have a little bit better understanding of what are you taking, what art are you taking, and why are you doing it, and who had it be how many years ago was it and who was behind it, because I've seen it so many times where somebody says, well, yeah, I take it, and I said, well, who's your instructor? I can't tell you how many times I ask people who their instructor is, and half the time they're like, well, I can't remember his name. How do you not know that? I can't. It doesn't resonate with me whatsoever. And you've been seeing this trend now for a while. So what is it that you've seen a little bit different now as far as the martial arts world goes, as far as what it was back when you started in 69, I started around 81, 1980, something like that. um what do you see as a difference in that,
Yeah,
in these
67 I
things?
started. I'm an older fart.
Yeah, 67, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's a
that's really interesting. We have so many people that come. Like we had someone that says, "Oh, I take American Kempo," and I said, "Oh, okay, you are under Ed Parker's system." They had no idea who he was, no idea. And they've been taking it for a few years, and they had no idea. And I recognized who one of their teacher was, but it's like, didn't you ever tell your students who your teacher was? And this
right.
is a common tale here. Nobody knows past that their student, their teacher, if they know their teacher. Some don't even know who their teacher is, but they don't even know one generation past. And that's kind of sad. We do a lot of tours here at the museum, and I mentioned this many times before, and it's very enlightening as well. I ask the kids, do you know this and that? I do query them, and through all the tours, I've asked the same question: how many people know who Bruce Lee is? And not one kid has ever raised their hand, ever raised their hand. And if our most popular martial artist can't be remembered, how quickly are they going to forget every one of us, And I think it's important that they see their roots. And thank God we know our roots. For those of us who've been doing it a while, we know who these guys are. We know who Ed Parker was. We know who Arkwai Wong was. We know who Bang Han was and Fumio Demura was, and these pioneers that we knew them. But unless we tell them through the museum, they're never going to be remembered. Benny Ukitas on Benny Ukitas Day said, Michael, without the Martial Arts History Museum, I will be forgotten. All of us will be forgotten. And that is true. That is true, because there's no other books, there's no other museums, there's no other anything that will keep our history alive. Period. People always ask,
Yeah.
about the museum. I say, look, the museum is what we have to keep our history. This is it. If you're waiting for another museum, it ain't gonna happen. People can say all they want about another museum. It ain't gonna happen, guys. Believe me, this is so much work. And people say, "Oh, I'll open the museum. People are going to visit." The visiting doesn't pay the bills. It's all the events, our
Right.
conventions, our days we have, all that. And thankfully, I had to go to business school, learn all this stuff to make sure this will keep running operational long after I'm gone, and that's the plan. And to have a museum to keep our history alive is very important, and for kids to know that 100 years from now, what happened in the martial arts. How did grappling start? How did kung fu come to America? Who brought taekwondo to America? Who's Jun Ri? We have it here at the museum, and that's what people can learn. That's what makes it kind of exciting, that people can learn that history while they're here and see
Yeah,
their uniform if we got it.
yeah, that's so interesting what you said too, right? So because even I mean, the people that don't even know, like you're mentioning June Ree, for instance, and know that he was the one that came up with safety equipment, right? The June Ree,
Right. Safety punch.
the safety punch, and for that, and what he was, what revolutionized, right? And if you didn't see it in the museum, I don't even know if people, yeah, what you say there is so true. Even Benny, when I talk to him, I tell people all the time. I said, you have no idea what this guy's the pioneer of American kickboxing, man. I mean, this is the guy that when I was younger, I told him, I said, when you used to fight at Devonshire Downs in Reseda outside, I'd come and watch those fights. I mean, those were outside fights, and those were those days of how kickboxing was back in the day, right? You had to have 5 kicks in a round, and
Oh yeah.
they wore the pants and the black belt back in the day. I mean, you remember that? I mean, it was
Oh
awesome,
yeah. Yeah. It was a great
and
time.
because of all that stuff, eventually UFC has come around, and then you see, the Gracies have done a fantastic job at being able to know where the pioneer. I mean, because that's Gracie is almost probably a bigger name than Bruce Lee. If you say Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, people will know that more than they know Bruce Lee's movies or whatever. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that what you're saying there is so true that it's, yeah, I don't know. I guess without your museum there, there is nothing. I know that there's a sports karate museum in Texas,
There's a thought of one.
mm,
There's
but it
nobody
doesn't
has
have
an actual
right. It
place.
doesn't have a building like
Nobody
for
has
it.
there are many people that tried to start museums over the years. This is not an easy thing to do. It really isn't. You can say you have a museum, but if you don't have a museum, it's not a museum, guys. It's like an online magazine. You don't have a magazine, guys. It's online. Everybody
Yeah.
could do it. It's online. You don't have a magazine. Same thing. This, I know people, some people don't know me, and that's fine. I've been doing part of the martial arts for a long time. I'm not out there to get publicity. I've been in magazines, I've been in covers, but I don't, it's it doesn't have a big thing for me. I'm not there to be recognized. It's never been about me. The museum's never been about me. You hardly hear my name here at all, or my picture anywhere here in the museum. It's about our history. And I think it's important that, people may be waiting on the sidelines and saying, well, hopefully, maybe another museum will start, or this company will start a museum, or that's going to happen. And I can tell you right now, it's not going to happen. This is it. This is it, guys. We've been doing this 23 years. We were survived 23 years. We're here. We're here, and we're keeping our history alive. And we've done it very professionally. As you can see, the museum is done very professionally. Everything we've done is very professional. And we contact people. We're part of associations. We're a recognized museum. We're a visiting place, a tourist attraction as well. And we this is it. This is going to be the only museum, period. And I think it's important that everybody should come along. Everybody should come on board. if the martial arts meant something to you, if it benefited you, if it helped you again about bullying, and especially these big stars, these big, huge martial arts stars who have done very well for themselves. And that's great. We applaud them. We're behind them. I was buying every ticket to every Chuck Norris movie. I saw every movie. I saw Jackie Chan's movie. I saw them all, and we supported them. We supported them by buying tickets and going to their movies and watching their videos and all that. So we were behind them. And I think it's important now that many of them have been very successful. I think it's important, guys. Come on, it's time to give back. It's time to give it back and give a little bit to help the museum and make sure we're going to be here for a long time. So that's what we're trying to do. It's great that people have an idea for doing a museum. I say, guys, let's focus on one. Let's focus on one. It's like when somebody has a candidate and they're running for office and they want to, fill this one seat, and there's 5 people running, and we're gonna take that guy's seat and whatever. And I said, guys, if you have 5 people running, you're not going to take the seat. Concentrate on one. If you want to get rid of that person, concentrate on one person to get in the spot, and that way you have a chance. You know what I mean? So you can say all the museums you want, but guys, we're here, 23 years. We're not going anywhere. So let's come on board and make sure this museum will be here when we're gone. Because when this museum is not here, nobody's going to remember anything. The Black Belt Magazine, Inside Kung Fu, anybody's gone. It's going to not only not even be a footnote in somebody's book. They're not going to remember any of us or anything we did or anything about our history without the museum. I say that with all sincerity. If people are waiting on the sidelines, it's time to get on board, guys. It's time to get on board. We do our best. We do our best to keep the history alive and be as accurate as we can. We're not perfect, but we do our best to keep it as accurate as we can so people can enjoy and learn about the history of the martial arts. And I think that's important that everybody comes on board and instead of waiting on the fences, guys, it's time to come on board. It's time to come aboard. If every school, every martial artist gave $1, we'll be set. We'd
Yeah,
be set.
each. I think that's why I reached out to you to do this, because we get pretty complacent, including myself. We get pretty complacent. I remember being part of a few of these events and raising some money, but then again, if it's not on a continual basis, and you're not in, and I've got a lot of schools behind me, you know what I mean? I've got a lot of guys that make a living from martial arts schools that are students of mine that I've just never thought about, even as you're talking about it, that it's true. I think we take everything for granted in life anyway, right? There's a museum here, right, in Burbank, and we can support that by making sure it stays alive, because you're right. Without you doing it, what else do we have? I mean, we don't have squat, man. We don't have nothing. Even some of
No.
the magazines are gone to the wayside. Even the way,
Oh, yeah.
we're lucky that Black Belt magazine's still around. As I was at Barnes and Noble, and I was telling my girl, that I was telling Kat, I said, I remember as a kid on Van Nuys Boulevard, there used to be a magazine, where you can go in and get any
Oh,
magazines,
yeah.
right?
I
Right?
was
You know
there.
what I'm
Yeah, I
talking
love that
about?
place. Yes.
You know what I'm talking about, right there on Victory Boulevard, and
Right.
you can get any magazine that you can possibly can. I said, man, this thing was chocked full of martial arts stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Has Chuck Norris ever made it to the museum or not?
No, not at all. The only thing we ever got from him was a letter of support, and that's it. We reached out to him galore, and only his lawyer wrote back. That's about it. But
That's sad, man.
it,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's a sad thing. You
yeah.
know.
I try. I do my best not to say anything negative about anybody, and because maybe one day they'll come on board, and that'll be great if they do. But it's sad to say a lot of these big guys who have made a career and done very well for themselves have never given a dime to the museum or ever visited, which to me it's kind of sad to see that. But I have to look past that. I have to really look past that if I'm going to make sure this
Mm.
works. It's been built by the whole museum has been built by the little guys, shall we say, as Cecil People says. Maybe the big guys, the big stars and all that will come along one day. But until then, it's been all of us little guys, not big movie stars, have made the museum possible. People donating, schools donating. I know many people that barely make any money at all from their fixed income. They still are giving every month to the museum. And these big
Hmm.
stars haven't given a dime, but these poor people who barely make anything are still giving every month to the museum. So the museum is built by us. We are the pioneers, all of us who have donated and sacrificed and give everything they can to make sure this museum is possible. To me, those are the real pioneers of the museum. They made it possible. They made this a reality. We're here because of us, the little guys, all of us, everybody you included, all the little guys have come and visited the museum and donated, been part of our events and helped us out. All of these people have been the pioneers of the museum. It'd be great to have the Jackie Chans come on board, the Jet Lis, and all these people who are very well off. It would be wonderful if they come on board, and I hope they will. But until then, it's us. It's us.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, even the Cobra Kai series and everything else. I mean, it's the martial arts schools that kept all that, because we all saw it, and then that's what we all wanted to do, and then we keep all that, alive as it is. Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. This is pretty. I'm kind of rolling around in my head because I'm thinking, I don't even think I've done it. I don't think I've, even my influence. I haven't really used it to further that history there at all. I got to fix that. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix that as of today. Trust.
Thank you, sir.
Um, to see. I think it's one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on because I'm not really sure, even out of my own schools, on who's done that. Because I think that. Tell me the other events that you can have there. So you have the day. What else do you have? Is it built enough for seminars there and stuff like that too?
Yeah, we have small seminars. We have a lot of stuff. We have small music concerts, which is pretty cool. We have seminars, small seminars that we can do about 20 people. We have movie screenings all the time. We have parties. We rent it out for parties. We've done many parties back there. We do the honor days. We have a memorial coming up where someone passed away, and we're having a memorial here, and they rent it out to do that as well. So we do a lot of stuff here that keeps us busy. We also have artists that bring their stuff, and we have easels all around, and people can enjoy their artwork. We have book signings here. We had a fantastic book signing for Hank Garrett the other week. We were packed for a book signing. So we try to promote everybody's stuff. We don't charge them for like book signings or anything like that. We want to promote artists. We want to promote different things. So a lot of stuff we don't charge, and just so they can have it here. And things like book signings or artworks or craft days or paintings or photograph days and things like that. It just brings people in the door. And we do junkets here. Like we're going to have our big seminar for the stun device. We're going to have that. We're going to have giving those out. In the back, we're going to have a class on how to use it as well. So we do a
Mhm.
lot of different things here at the museum. We're open. We rent it out periodically, and that helps us bring fun. Sometimes we rent it out for a few movies, but mostly documentaries. I'm afraid of the movies, they'll bang up and shoot everything. But the documentaries are okay.
That's quite the thing. I have my first book coming out in January.
Oh, wonderful.
January of this year, I'm launching. It's called Beyond the Mat, and it's lessons that I've learned past the mat. You know what I mean? What I've taken on the mat and taken it. So I didn't think about that. That's probably one thing I'm going to do. We're launching it in Camden, New Jersey. That's where I'm going to first launch it, and then
Uh-huh.
maybe that's what we do. Maybe we come down there and do the book signing at the museum because
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think we'd have a lot of
Many
people come
people
and
have
do
done
that.
that. Yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
time. People come. Sometimes they bring a little finger food, but it's a great time to talk about the book, and
Uh
people
huh.
come up and read it a little bit, and they do very well here signing the book. We don't take
Yeah.
any portion of it, and
Yeah.
they sell probably most of their copies when they have the book signing here, so which
Yeah,
is
I
pretty
think that's
cool.
what I think that then then I think that's what I'll set. Once it launches, maybe that's what we'll do here when I come back home, and I'll have instead of just doing it at my studios, we'll make a day that we do it there, and then that's where my students can come in and grab copies. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. That'd be awesome. That'd be fun to do.
Nice, thank
Be
you.
real fun to do there. So, yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. The I think that well, give the address out. Let's give the address out where you're at. Let's
Okay,
do
the
that.
museum is located at 2319 West Magnolia Boulevard in the city of Burbank. Cross streets are Buena Vista and Magnolia. Our phone number is 818-478-1722, and our website is mamuseum.com. And that'll have a lot of stuff. We also have a YouTube channel where we do a lot of videos and probably informative on there. I put something out every maybe 3 days on the YouTube channel. We're trying to build that up a little bit and talk about history and fun stuff. And we just started shooting our events here at the museum. We hadn't done that before, and we're finally starting shooting them. So now we're shooting the events and putting on YouTube for everybody to enjoy in case they can't be here. So
Oh,
we just
that's
started
good.
doing that. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's real good. So what do you think that it when you speak to other martial arts school owners, Mike, what do you try and convey to them to do that they can do to help promote the history and what you have?
As myself, a former school owner, I know how hard it is. It is hard. It is hard running the school, and if you don't have enough students, you are struggling. Mine didn't last long at all, but I understand the struggle. I know what it. It's not easy making funds, especially if you don't have a lot of students. And I understand that. I completely understand that. But I think if you're doing well, I think if somehow that maybe say, hey, give a little, like we have one school, um, not Tom Bloom School. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the school. Forgive me at the moment. Pressure on the video. But one school, they come. It's a Hapkido school. One of our students, and every year the kids do something to raise funds for the museum. We're going to do a kickathon, or we're going to do a push-up-a-thon, or we're gonna do something like the Boy Scouts, go to different things and get a little merit badge or something like that,
I
that they
think
can raise a little bit.
that sounds like Dragon's Den.
Yeah, yeah, I
Uh,
think so. And they raise a little bit, and every year they come with a big check, fake check, but
uh-huh.
they come with a real check. And this is what we raised, all the kids from all the school. This is what we raised for the museum, and which is very cool. So we give them patches or whatever for doing that. And I think that that's pretty fun because it's a little exciting. It's doing something for something bigger than themselves, and something they can always say, "Hey, I did this little thing for the museum. I did all year long. I did raised $50 to the museum. Every kid raised push up day or whatever, and they raised a little money. So they had an event, and they make every year it's an event that they do, and all the kids get excited to do it. And one of them does it. All their black belts do it. Where they're going to get a black belt, they all have to go through this and raise a little money by doing the kickathon or whatever, and they all come and do that and bring a check to the museum. And it makes it special because they're here at the museum. We take pictures with them. They have a lot of fun. They bring their parents and friends and all that. And it's doing something for something bigger than themselves. And they could always say, "Hey, I did that for the museum." Like my school used to be in Hollywood, California. One of the schools I trained, Silon Pai Hungar, and I remember on work day, I'd be there on work day, volunteer my time, and I paint the pillars and I paint all that on the outside. And that's my job. I was painting. And then I go back even today, even though the school is not there. And I said, look, I was part of that. See that pillar? I painted that pillar. I was part of Silum Pi, of having the school, knowing that I made a little impact somewhere, and I can tell everybody that. And same thing at the museum. Every school will say, oh, we'll give, every black belt or whatever, we'll get a patch, if we do this, or, to help out and, do a little bit of this. Everybody gives $1, or the school say, you want to give $1 to the museum when you sign up, or something like that. Something creative that they'll get. We can, we have little patches for the museum. We're happy to give those out, whatever we need to do. And something that makes it a little bit creative, that they're doing something like raising money for the Red Cross. I remember back when elementary school, we used to raise papers. And one day we'd gather all the newspapers and then we'd bring them to the school, and we had the most newspapers there,
I
of each
remember that.
class.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So to have that same kind of mentality, let's see how many we can raise for the museum, or what we can do to help out, the museum in some way, to make it exciting. And like Don Wilson or Cynthia Rothrock and many of the people said, hey, if you have a contest like that, we'll go over to them and we'll spend a little day there, an hour or so, and say hello to the kids and take pictures and give a little talk or whatever. We'll do that to help the museum as well. So I think
So
little incentives will help.
how is it that how do you promote somebody? Let's say, for instance, I can get somebody at your museum,
Mhm.
and I don't know if you've watched the series Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul,
Better
right?
Call Saul.
Okay. The two
Yeah,
brothers
Breaking
in
Bad.
there,
That's right.
right? You got two brothers that are really kind of bad boys, right?
Mhm,
The two
mhm.
brothers that in Breaking Bad, they're the killers that went and got everybody. Better Call Saul, you get to see their backstory right now. They're very prevalent right now. Well, both of those guys are Thai boxers. I don't know if you know that. They're kickboxers,
No, I didn't.
and they're Thai boxers. They fight. They fought in the ring, and they're very good friends of mine. They both train here at my school, and he trains people out of my school. And his name is Louis Mikado. And I know for a fact, if I asked him, he'd come and do that. He'd come and be a celebrity that day where people can come and meet him and take pictures with him. Because at Comic-Con, they do that all the time. And he would probably donate his time. So how do you promote something like that if we make something like that happen?
Well, thank you for doing that. Our biggest thing to do right now for promoting people has been our convention, Dragonfest. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's great to have people here, and to have we do a lot of promotion when we do have a star coming here, and especially when we have something in the back, like we did something for the LRA Network, where we had all the stars of several stars from one of their Lucha Underground was here. But they had a little, they had a Q&A table we had here, and it was packed out with people, and we had a great time. And they talked about who they were, and people got to meet them, and they had a following there, and which was really fun. And that's good to do. We can do that as well. But our Dragon Fest has been our big convention, and that has probably brought a lot of people, a lot of stars that we have there, and it's a great way to bring them all in one place, and that way people can enjoy the whole day meeting all the stars at the convention. And it's called
So do
Dragon
you
Fest.
right? So yeah, so let's talk about Dragonfest. Now, has that always been yours? I mean, it's been around for a long time, and then it went away. And
Right.
then, are you the one that brought it back? Who are you, the originator of Dragonfest, or no?
No, Gerald Okamura. Gerald Okamura started
Okay,
Dragon Fest 1996, I believe.
I remember.
1996. Uh-huh.
I
And he
remember
ran
going
it
to
for
the
9 years. Yeah, I was there. I had a booth there.
ah.
Uh-huh. Fireboys and I own the website, dragonfest.com. And we made the website free, to help him out. And he ran it for 9 years at the was all over the place. Then it ended up at the Glendale Civic Auditorium, and then that was it. He ran it for 9 years and stopped and never did it again. And then 10 years later, people kept bugging us to do it. Bring back Dragonfest. You got to bring back Dragonfest. And I said, okay, okay. After bugging, I called Gerald and I said, hey, is it okay if we restart Dragonfest? And he goes, you have my blessing. It's yours. You run it. You have my blessing. Because I didn't want to do it without him. I wanted to make sure I didn't have to have his blessing, but I wanted to, because this was his baby. So we restarted it. We've been doing it for about 6 years now. And it's been going very well for us. We bring in a lot of stars to there, and then we raise it. It's probably our biggest fundraiser for the museum. So everybody comes to enjoy it. We haven't had that one since the pandemic, but we do have one coming up on August 6th. Finally, after 2 years, we're able to redo Dragon Fest. But yeah, with Gerald Okamura's blessing, we restarted Dragon Fest, and Gerald's there every year. We honor him every year, and it was his baby. He started it, And so we hope we carry on his tradition by holding Dragonfest, and it's a great way to help out the museum, and it's a great way to meet a lot of stars in one place, and that's really a big thing, and especially when stars can drop on by, and it's kind of cool when you see them there, so it's neat.
So do your celebrities have a booth for themselves, or are they just kind of stopping by and you kind of promote them, or how does that work?
Yeah, we have 80 booths this year. And yeah, celebrities all have their booths. We try to sell the booths as much as we can to vendors and stuff like that. But celebrities also have booths there as well. Don Wilson has a booth. Michael Jai White has a booth. Cynthia Rothrock has a booth. Many different stars all have booths already. So they're already set up there. But we get a few that walk in, which is kind of cool. And usually they're really good about it. We try to give them a ticket to come on in, so people can meet them. But a lot of them come to the front and say, "No, no, no, I'm paying the museum. I'm paying to get in." I think I admire that a lot.
Yeah.
And they come in and they just pay their way, and they just greet everybody while they're there, which is pretty good. We had I think was it Angel Caballas? I think it was. Uh, he's still alive. That person. I think so. Forgive me, I don't remember all the names right now, but we had seminar day. We had seminars the whole day at the convention, and there walked in, I think it was Angel Caballas, pioneer, and everybody, couldn't believe he was there. He just showed up, and I said, "Sir, would you like to do a little seminar?" And he goes, "Yes, I would." And we did a seminar from one of the great pioneers of Kali was right there. And we had so many just come and just show up, and which is really nice, and they meet the guests, and I think that's a lot of fun. I appreciate them doing that.
Okay, so so we'll promote that a little bit more because that's coming up in August. So we still have some time for
Right.
that promotion, right? August, what's the weekend of that? August what?
August 6th. It's a one-day event this year because of COVID. I wasn't sure if there because we had it before and they closed us down.
Of course. So
So it's a
uh
one-day event. We wasn't sure if we are gonna able to hold it 2 days, so we said we're just gonna get it for one day. And so we're jamming everything in there. All the seminars will be at the same day right there. They'll be free from Betty Ukitas, from Don Wilson, from many more doing seminars free of charge right when you come in the door. So that's all gonna be in one day. The seminars, the performances, the booths, and all that great stuff. It's all gonna be one day. It's gonna be packed. It's gonna be a
and
great time.
where is it located at? Is it at Glendale still?
Yeah, we brought it back to the Glendale Civic Auditorium. Dragonfest.com is the website. And it's a great fundraiser for the museum. All the money, 100% of the funds, all go to help the museum.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll make sure we promote that out too. And I'll speak off camera with you a little bit more about, Lewis and who I know in that world and stuff like that, and see if uh what we can do to help out with that, because
Yeah, yeah,
he's
we'd love to have a great time for them. We'd push it up, meet so and so, which is kind of neat.
uh-huh.
Meet Ralph Macchio if we can get him.
Yeah.
Meet this person, we get him. And having those days just to honor them, or just to have them here for a little while, or a book signing, or a photograph signing is a great thing. We'd love to have more of them.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to Lewis today about that, and then I'll get with you a little bit off camera, and maybe I'll just meet you at the museum one day. I'm off to to Georgia on Wednesday. I'll be gone for the rest of the week, and then maybe the week after I can make some time and meet you over at the museum. We can talk a little bit more about this. Does that sound good?
Wonderful. Love it.
All right. All right. So we're about an hour in. I wanted to, this was great. I think that it sparked me a little bit more today just to have the conversation. This will be pushed out now, Mike. What will happen is people can always look at the replay here of what you and I spoke about. It will be downloaded, so the audio will be downloaded for everybody they can listen on my regular podcast. That it doesn't have to be video, so the audio thing will drop. I'll send that to you, where you can send it off to the museum for sure. If you want, this is also will be on my YouTube channel. So if that's something that you ever want playing or something like that at the museum itself, you'll be able to get a copy of that and move it through that way too, so people can get a little
Wonderful.
bit more history of what it was. Does that sound good?
Sounds wonderful. And thank you for
All right.
allowing me to be on here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Again, it's quite
Yeah, it
an
was
honor. I
awesome.
appreciate that.
Yeah, it was really good, man. I really enjoyed it. All right. Well, you take care, man. You have an awesome day. We'll make sure that we have some visiting. Any of my other school owners that you reach out to me and we can make a museum day, and we can have different schools coming out and visit and let Mike do his things, because no one's ever done it with Mike. By the way, you kind of the one that kind of goes through the whole. Anyway, you were the one there when we did it. I know that. So you're the one that kind of explains everything. This is where we're at, and it was a fun time. I remember there being some kind of seating for a video of some sort too, I think, if I remember right. Correct? Is that still on? Do you still have that portion of the museum?
I can't remember which thing you're referring to.
So
Sorry, we've done
it's
a
a
lot of
video.
events.
So you'd go through,
Uh-huh.
and then you'd have them all sit down, and we would watch a video for a
Oh,
minute on
yes,
stuff.
yes, we still have that. Yes,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
still have that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we change it all the time, add new stuff all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I haven't been there. I haven't been there for a little bit, so I'm sure that there's going to be some stuff there that I haven't got to see. I mean, some awesome looking weapons, the history about different things, and you get to talk about those kids about history. Maybe it should be part of what I do as far as my black belt becoming a black belt. It should be something that we do. It's right in our backyard, and we don't even take advantage of it. I think about that right now, right? It's in our own backyard. We don't even take advantage of it. I don't even take advantage of the museums that we do have, period. I mean, the last one I went to was the Holocaust Museum, and that was a heart-wrenching, heartbreaking one to go through too. The genocide of what happened was just unfathomable, right, on what that was. So, and then I'm going to get with you, Mike. I'm going to bring all the stuff that I bought off this one gentleman, because I'm sure that the kung fu world better than I do. You can get some guys' signatures on those, and if we can raise some money, I'll just donate everything I bought to you guys, and you guys take it for what it is, and
Oh,
and
thank
go
you very
go
much.
go get after it.
Uh-huh. And,
All right.
if you can, I would like to work together with the schools that we have, because you know how it is because of the pandemic, and somehow figure out some way that we can share things together, if to promote the museum, or if not, to help each other in different resources. It's always
Mm-hmm.
good to find other stuff, like where we get our caps made or t-shirts made, or something that we can all save money on together, or something like that, that would help everybody out. So I'd love to work with a lot of the schools. Maybe we can have patches for them for if they do an event, and somehow we can connect with them with the museum and display the name of their school on our page or something like that. Something that we can get every school involved somehow, and make sure the history stays, part of
Yep.
our history.
Yep. That sounds good. All right, sir. Well, we're gonna branch off, man. You guys have a good day, and this will be this will be ready to go by end of day, and I'll send you links and everything, and you can share it. Sound good, Mike?
Thank you very much.
All right, man. Thanks, again. Thanks for the hour. We'll talk
Okay,
soon.
you take care.